Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello, welcome to Illinois Stories. I'm Mark McDonald in Dewey, Illinois, in Champaign County at the only horse rescue operation in central Illinois. There are 49 horses here on this ranch right now. Most of them need homes. And the reason they're here is because of Linda Hewerdine, who runs Share Operation, the name of this horse rescue, and the fact that she is trying to find adoptive homes for all of these horses. You've saved them, haven't you, Linda?
So we've saved them.
Yeah. You and your friends who help you here, your volunteer friends, and we're going to meet some of them as well. These two horses, right, that bracket us here, these are your personal horses. That's why they're so friendly. Oh, this one's not?
No,
well,
this
sure
one's
is
up for
friendly.
adoption.
My
This is
goodness.
Sunshine.
Well, I think Sunshine's going to get adopted pretty quick, don't you?
I think so.
Yeah.
She's pretty.
You know, this is an amazing story. 49 horses. Most people who have horses know that 1 or 2 or 3 is a handful.
Right.
And here you are with all these horses, most of whom you've saved from either a slaughterhouse or from neglect or an abuse, are going to be found homes, but it takes time and it takes effort and it takes land and it takes food and it takes all your time, doesn't it?
It does take a lot of time.
Yeah. Tell me about Share.
Share is a not-for-profit organization. We started in 2003. It's to rescue these horses. We're approved by the state of Illinois as a rescue operation, and our investigators are approved. They take tests once every 2 years to see if they're qualified. Mm-hmm. We do investigations on horses that people call us, and they tell us there's a neglect case. We get calls from other organizations that need help. We get calls from the state of Illinois, the Department of Agriculture. Mm-hmm. If there's horses that need to be taken.
They get reports, they call you because they know you have investigators. You're an investigator yourself.
Right.
You know enough about the ins and outs of that to know if an animal's being abused or neglected or whatever. And then you have the wherewithal and the law behind you to go ahead and take actions to get that horse to a better place.
Right. Or to get the owner education.
Uh-huh. Right. So the owner can take care of the horse.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have all these horses, 49 horses, that you try to find homes for. How long do you keep a horse? I mean,
until it finds a home.
Really? So you may end up with a horse until that horse passes away?
Yes.
What's the adoptive process like?
We have an adoption application that has to be filled out. We have it online, or we can be mailed to someone. We have to get a letter from their veterinarian recommending them, and if they have a farrier already, from their farrier recommending them. Then we ask them to pick out a horse. We see if it's kind of a match between them and the horse. Mm-hmm. Then we go to their place. We take a look at their horses, we take a look at how they keep their feed, how their horses and other animals react to them, and we make a decision whether they get the horse or not. Mm-hmm. Then after that, for 2 years, we monitor that horse to see that it's well cared for and there's nothing going downhill.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So the horse remains. This one looks like a mule or something.
It is. That's mine.
Is that a mule? It's yours too?
Yeah, that's a pony mule.
That's
out of
a pony
pony
mule. Okay. How many horses, like for instance last year, how many horses were you able to adopt?
I think we adopted out about 12.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
This time of year, I wanted to come here in January because you say that this is the time of year when you get the most calls, do the most investigations, and end up with the most horses.
Right.
And it's sad during this time of year that horses are being, I guess, left out in the cold and not taken care of.
People run out of money, they run out of food, and then the horses suffer.
Yeah. And so they end up at a place like this.
Right.
Well, listen, we're going to talk to some of your trainers and some people who help you here, and we're going to meet some of your horses. But I just want to let you know that anybody who has any feeling at all for horses, to them, you must be a real hero.
Well, I'm a hero to the horses.
To the horses, right. Linda, thank you, and let's talk more inside. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
Margaret Bochco, who have we here?
This is Oliver. He's a 3-year-old pony cross. We think he's crossed with a miniature. We've had him here for a little over a month and a half now. He came in pretty skinny. We've been putting weight on him to try to get him built back up. As far as training goes, he's just, we walk him around. He's great on the halter. He'll pick up his feet, do all the basic stuff. We can't ride him, obviously, because he's small and he's still pretty skinny.
Yeah. Did you say how old he was? Or
he's 3 years old.
He's 3 years old. Okay.
And he's a stallion still. Once he puts more weight on, we're going to get him gelded.
Do they live to be pretty old, these crosses?
The little guys usually tend to live anywhere from 35 to 40 if they're well taken care of.
He's just a kid then.
Yeah, he's just a baby.
Now, has he had any problems? I mean, he came here obviously because he wasn't well taken care of, but has he had any problems that you identified?
The only problems that he has is he has a common problem that a lot of miniature horses have, where their back legs tend to lock up, and that is pretty much worked out when he's walking around a lot. That's why they're outside, you know, as much as we can get them. We turn them out. These other two minis that we have back here have the same issue.
Okay, we'll take a closer look at them in just a little bit. I noticed you've got some tools out here. When you come to train these horses, obviously you get these little ones, you got the crosses, you got the miniatures, you got some draft horses here.
Yes,
you got everything from this big to this big. So you've got a variety of things to do. But for instance, how would you treat this horse? What would you do to train this horse today?
With this little guy, basically all we're going to do is just groom him and just basic handling, you know, so he's used to people. He stands well for the farrier, does, you know, all the basic things that a horse should do. We're not, any other training really isn't going to get done until he gets more weight on, you know. Possibly eventually, you know, we could teach him to drive or carry, you know, some little kids around, stuff like that. So, but normally we just, you know, we pull out the brushes and we'll just groom him, starting with the curry comb, and just get them used to, you know, just the touch.
Yeah. Because a lot of these horses, obviously, they've all been neglected in some way or another, and so many of them aren't used to people in any way.
Right.
I mean, they have to be used to being, like you say, touched, not necessarily ridden, but they have to feel familiar with humans before they'd be a good match for anybody, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. And these guys, he's pretty good. He's been handled a lot since he was born, so he's, I mean, pretty good as far as the people aspect goes. You know, again, with him, it's just a matter of putting some weight on him to get him castrated, gelded, so that we can find him a good home.
If that horse behind you will stay still, let's take a look at her, too.
That's Kiwi.
Who is this now?
This is Kiwi.
Kiwi. Hi,
She's
Kiwi.
a miniature. She's also 3 years old.
Can you touch Kiwi? Is she okay with that?
Yeah, she's a good girl.
Oh, yeah. Kiwi, you are a good girl.
We think she might be pregnant because she was kept with 2 stallions. Oliver being one of them.
Okay, and she came with 2 other horses.
She came with Oliver, and she came in with another horse that looks just like her.
Yeah, and she's a miniature.
She's a miniature. Yes, she's a registered miniature horse.
And actually, if we look down over to the left here, we can see the other horse that looks like her that came with her, right?
And that's Macho Man.
That Macho.
And he's
Macho
also a
Man.
3-year-old. He's a little bit more skittish when it comes to people. I mean, he's handleable. You can put a halter on him. He'll stand to get his feet trimmed.
Wow.
You can groom him.
He looks like he's in very good, good health.
Yes.
I mean, he just looks like strong and ready to go.
He just needs to be gelded, and then he's ready to go. He's ready to be adopted. So.
And then right behind him, Linda's holding on to a larger miniature horse there.
That's Angie.
Okay, Linda, can you bring Angie over here so we can see Angie? Hey, Angie. Oh, what a sweet girl, huh? What a sweet girl.
And she's 30 years old.
30?
Yes.
My goodness.
She was a companion for an average-sized horse, and they had to euthanize the horse because of medical reasons, and they were just going to euthanize her, too, because they had no use for her. So we decided to take her.
Well, you literally saved her.
Yes.
Because she was going to be put down.
Yeah. She watched her companion get put to sleep and everything.
Oh, my goodness.
So. But she has no front teeth, she has no front teeth.
Really? Could we see that, Linda? Could you show us? Because I don't think anybody's ever seen a horse with no teeth. My goodness. So how do you feed her if she has no teeth?
She gets mush mosh. Basically, we soak some hay and stuff for her. We have senior feed, which is a complete feed for her, and she eats that real well. She's also on a medication for heaves, which is basically like a horse asthma. And being outdoors really helps a lot with that because she's not getting all the dust and all that stuff.
Okay, so she stays out most of the time. You bring her in to feed her?
Yes, everybody gets brought in except for a few horses that we don't have stalls for. But everybody else gets brought in at night, and they're out during the day, and depending on the weather.
Oh my goodness! So in the little miniatures like this, I assume that when you bring horses in, you kind of keep them separate because they might get kicked or hurt if they're with the big
we
ones.
have various groups that we put everybody out in. We don't put all the horses out together. We try to figure out groups that best suit them, just so that they all get along and nobody gets hurt. And so, yes, obviously, these little miniatures are going to go out together, and they're not going to go out with the big Belgians that we have. So.
Right. And are we going to get to meet any of those Belgians?
Yes,
That'd
we
be
are.
great. Okay,
yes.
Thank you. Margaret, what kind of horse is Tucker?
He's a Belgian. He came, actually he was pulled off of a truck that was going to the slaughterhouse when he was 3 months old by a rescue that I used to work with back up in Chicago. And they closed down about a month and a half ago, which is how we ended up with him, to find him a good home. I actually trained him when he was younger, and I've handled him a lot. I taught him how to basically carry a rider, you know, how to go down trails and just be an overall good horse.
Yeah, stuff that every horse should know, huh?
Yes.
How old is Tucker?
Tucker is 5.
And will Tucker live along a good ripe age?
Yeah, they usually, you know, the bigger horses tend to live usually about 20, 25 years. You know, they can live longer. It depends on basically how well they're taken care of.
And Tucker's pretty well taken care of.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So he's a very good boy.
Yeah, you've known him for a long time.
Yeah.
And he'll be adoptable, won't he?
Yes, he actually has an adoption pending right now.
Excellent.
So we just have to go and check out the facility, and if the facility checks out, then he'll be going to his new home.
That's going to break your heart, isn't it?
It is. It really is. But that's, I mean, in order to save more, you have to let some go. So.
Yeah, yeah. And Tucker and other Belgians, they eat a lot of food, don't
yes,
they?
Yes, they do.
Now, I noticed you mentioned riding him. Can you ride this horse?
Sure, yeah, we can. We don't have a saddle that's big enough. You have to have a special saddle to put on him just because he's so wide.
Yeah.
If you just put a normal saddle on him, it'll pinch the withers up here. And then he won't want to be ridden anymore.
So how do you ride him if you don't have a saddle?
I ride him bareback.
You do?
Yep.
Well, you must have a step ladder
to
get up on him.
Yeah, just a ladder, you know, prop up against him.
Yeah.
I can use a mounting block, or most of the time I just have somebody boost me up there.
Well, do you mind showing us?
Sure.
You get up on him?
Yep.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Let me throw the leader ups over him first.
Never done this before.
Ready?
Whoa, Tucker, there you go. Oh, wow. You're way up there.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it's pretty high up here. You don't want to fall off this big guy.
No, you sure don't. And he's really very comfortable with that, isn't he?
Yep, he's comfortable. Right now, he's kind of looking at the hay. He wants to eat the hay that's on the ground.
Wow.
But he'll ride. I mean, he's had kids on him, people riding him, multiple people on him at a time. His biggest thing is he needs a big area to go much faster than a walk because he's got such a long stride that he trips over himself. So he can't really do too much in here, but he's a great trail horse. He'll go down the trails all day long. He doesn't squeak at anything. He's just a big, gentle giant.
He's beautiful. Hey, thanks for showing us.
No problem.
Bonnie Coates, this is Molly?
Yes, this is Molly. She is a 13-year-old Belgian mare. We got her a couple months ago. We had a vet tech in the area that called and said that they needed a new home for her. When we got her, she looked completely different. She had a lot of muscle wasting in her back end, so she just looked very funny. She didn't look like a normal horse, and she was very, very unstable. And she has a genetic disorder that's common to drafts. It's called PSSM, and basically she is unable to digest carbohydrates, which is a big deal if you're not using the right diet. So she is on a very high-fat diet, and she has gained a lot of weight, which is fantastic. She is much more stable, and we're not as worried about her going down. As far as her training goes, she knows how to plow, but we're not going to really use that as an adoption point. But
she used to be a draft horse. I mean, that's what she did. She worked on a farm, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. Yeah. She did. And now she just gets to spend her time eating and being outside with Tucker. So it's a pretty good life, I think.
It is a pretty good life.
She is very, very sweet. She's got great manners. When you put a halter on, she'll even lower her head because she realizes that she's a little bit bigger than you, which is very, very nice of her. We don't know whether we are going to see if maybe she can pull like maybe a wagon for people, or if she will maybe be taught to ride. Because of the diet requirements that she has, she will probably stay here for the rest of her life. So it's sad being 13 that, you know, she won't be able to find a different home, but she's very, very happy here.
Yeah.
As you can see, she gets spoiled. She gets quite a bit of food every day, and she gets to go outside and run and play.
Sure, sure. She'll miss Tucker when Tucker goes, won't she?
Oh, well, I kind of feel like Tucker's maybe a little bit fonder of her than she may be of him. He loves her, and she kind of tolerates him.
Yeah,
so
maybe she likes being an only child.
Yeah, it might be that. It will be sad, though, because because of his size, is one of the only other horses we can really put with her. Because when you have a horse this big, you have to be careful because you don't want her accidentally injuring another horse. Say if you put a mini in with her, if the mini tries to go underneath her and she starts walking, the mini's going to get kicked and it could get really hurt. So, but she doesn't really seem to mind. You know, she gets a lot of attention, and so she probably, you know, doesn't really need that herd to be really happy.
Now, you're a pre-vet student at the U of I, right?
Yes, I am.
And you come here 4 or 5 days a week.
When I can, yep.
Is it a volunteer thing for you?
It is a volunteer thing.
Wow.
I joined a club when I was in my freshman year, and it introduced me to this place, and since then I've gotten to know, I didn't know anything about horses when I came here. First time I rode was under Margaret's tutelage for a horse that we got adopted, and Linda is just an amazing person, and what she does is amazing, and I just want to be part of it. So I come out here and I do what I can. I help Margaret with training when I can. I mean, my knowledge is not very vast compared to hers, but I do what I can. And you know, when you see a horse like this and you see what she looked like when she came in, you know, I have pictures because we try to take pictures on intake. And then you see her now, you can see the difference that you're making.
Wow.
And for me, that makes it worthwhile. And, you know, when you see a horse that's been here for several years get adopted, there's really no better feeling than that. So this is, you know, my home away from home, and this really, it makes me feel like I'm making a difference. And, you know, it's something that I really, really enjoy here at college. And, you know, if I go to vet school, I'm going to really miss it, but I'm going to keep in touch. So.
Thanks, Monty.
No problem.
Well, Stephanie, now this is an unusual looking horse. She's got a blue eye and a brown eye.
Yeah.
And you tell me she's deaf.
Yeah, she was actually born deaf, and that makes her a special needs horse. So she reacts differently to a lot of things. So she requires a lot more on her sight. So that also makes her a little bit more flighty, because she has to require more on her sight. She sees things more than other horses would.
Because that's her dominant sense. She doesn't have the hearing.
Exactly.
Huh? Wow.
Where a lot of horses require a lot on their hearing because they're prey.
It's just amazing to me that this operation can take an animal like this that most people would admit, who's going to want a deaf horse? But you can keep a horse alive, and possibly somebody will. And in fact, isn't there a group that's seriously considering adopting Dazzle?
Yes, exactly. One of our previous people who adopted one of our horses, Spirit, is looking into Dazzle for a special needs horse for their facility, which will be a great place for her because having a special needs horse there makes it that much better, which will be a great home for her.
You know, and you girls are pretty special too, because now you're pre-vet at the U of I, right? And you come and help. I guess you do it voluntarily, just because you like to learn and like to help out, don't you?
Exactly. I love coming here. Like, since I was little, I loved horses, and I've tried to bug my mom for a long time to let me have a horse. Never worked. So once I came here and heard about Cher, I've been coming out here ever since, about 3 to 4 times a week, as much as I can, and just love it.
Yeah. Linda, Noelle's is a particularly touching story.
Yes,
This is a beautiful horse.
She is a beautiful horse.
Yeah. What is her story?
She was in New Jersey. She'd gone through 2 auctions at Camelot, and she was scheduled to be slaughtered. She's going to be sent to slaughter in about an hour and a half from the time that we agreed to buy her. We bought her out of slaughter. She's only 7 years old. She's perfectly rideable. There's nothing wrong with her. We named her Noelle because we didn't know what her name was when she came in. 3 of the 4 horses that we took in have papers, and we had the registration on them. We have nothing on her. But she's a wonderful little horse. She's a quarter horse.
How did you find out about her?
Some of the rescue operations that we're trying to get them out of this particular place, we're texting and emailing Margaret, who was with me on a trip down to approve a home for another horse. Now, originally there were 49 horses in there going to slaughter, and between all the rescue operations, all 49 were saved.
Wow.
But we got the last 4.
Yeah. Oh, you got 4 that day.
We got 4 that day.
Do you still have any of the others?
Yes, we have the other 3. They're standard breds. One may be pregnant. In fact, all 3 might be pregnant. We have a vet coming out to palpate them tomorrow and check them. This one's not.
Yeah.
She's not pregnant.
Now, they still slaughter horses in Canada, is that right?
Canada.
That's where that would have occurred? Or
that would have gone to Canada because they were in New Jersey, but they slaughter in Canada and Mexico.
In Mexico.
We're trying to get a law passed so that you can't transport horses across the U.S. for slaughter, because you can't slaughter in the U.S. and you can't eat horse meat. Both are against the law.
You know, we talked a little bit before about investigations, but I want to pursue that a little bit now that we're indoors where it's a little warmer. You're a licensed investigator, and you have another person here, I think, who also does investigations. You get reports from either, let's say, the Illinois Department of Agriculture or somebody who's just an interested citizen would call, and you would hear about a complaint. What's the next step in an investigation? The
next step is to 2 of us go out on the complaint and check out the horses to see if it's an actual complaint or the people, it's a neighbor that doesn't like the other one. Sometimes we get false complaints. When we go out, we're not allowed to cross a no trespassing sign, and we're not allowed to go in a barn without the owner's permission, but usually you can see things from outside, and very few people have up the no trespassing sign. We go out and we talk to the owner, look at the horse, see if it's truly a neglect situation. We try to educate them, you know, how to take care of your horse, what you should do to get this horse in good condition, get their agreement to do so. We also write them a violation because they violated state law. State law says they have to provide sufficient food, water, shelter, and veterinary care to prevent suffering. And then if we give them 24 hours, maybe less than that. In the summertime, I have given people 1 hour to get water to a horse. It's 98 degrees and there's no water.
A horse really would suffer and could die in that period of time, I guess.
So we can give them up to 48 hours to correct the situation. Many times we ask for a veterinary check on the horse. And if they don't comply, then we go back and check and we write another violation. And at that point, if they don't comply, we can contact the Department of Agriculture and ask for an impound on it.
Yeah, and then the legal system takes over. I guess you've actually had to go out and take horses away, and I would want a law enforcement officer there with me if I were you.
Yes, we want a sheriff's department.
Yeah.
Someone from the sheriff's department.
That's very interesting process. You would think that people who go to the time and expense and everything of owning a horse would then treat the horse well, but that just doesn't happen all the time, does it?
No, sometimes people think that it's a status symbol to have a horse, or they overextend themselves. They think they can take care of the horse, and then finances aren't good, winter, and they don't have enough hay. They think they could buy more, they can't. They don't have any money. And that's situations where they'll usually relinquish one to you. Okay, I can't take care of it, I'll give it to you. Then we have to see if we can find room. Put that horse.
And you always do.
We have so far. Well, if we can't, we'll try to find somebody else to take it. We have one in foster care right now.
Noelle is a fine example of an adoptable horse. She can be adopted for $500. And for that, you get a horse that's had its health tests, its feet trimmed, she's had her shots and been wormed, and can be adopted almost immediately. With another Illinois story near Dewey, I'm Mark McDonald. Thanks for watching.
Illinois Stories is brought to you by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by the support of viewers like you. Thank you. For a DVD copy of the program you've just seen, send $19.95 to Network Knowledge, P.O. Box 6248, Springfield, Illinois 62708. Be sure to include the program name, subject, and when the program aired. You can also order with your credit card by calling 800-232-3605.